Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi for WordPress tutorial. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Yesterday we created a global header and footer. So these will appear on any page when you create a new page. Very easy to do. Check out that video if you're not sure how to do that. Today we're going to create a full screen slider. It's going to stretch the whole width of the screen and the whole length of the screen. This is what I did, and I'll show you how to do this. And a Divi theme makes this really easy for you. If you're building any sort of WordPress site at all, I do suggest you check out the Divi theme. It just keeps getting better and better with more and more features, and it's so easy to use. So let's get started. What we'll do, we'll go to our dashboard. Let's create a new page. Go to Pages, or up the top here and hit New Page. I guess I'll call it Slider. Obviously, I'm going to use the Divi Builder. And I want to build from scratch. Okay, and as you can see, it's pulled up a page here. Here's the header and footer. Obviously, we've got no content between it at the moment. So I'm going to, because we're going to do a full width and full length slider, I'm going to put in a single row with a single column. There we go. And it's going to prompt us to put in a module. By default, Divi comes with all these modules as standard. I want a slider right there. There it is. It's popped in a slide. It's already got a bit of dummy content and a background color. Okay, the first thing that you'll notice about this, it's put two slides in there, which is great, but I want this to be full width. So let's take care of that first. To make it full width, I just click that and save it. We need to adjust our row. Here's a section, the blue one. Row is the green one. And the dark one is for the module. So let's go into the row and make this row full width so this stretches all the way across. So to do that, let's hit the little cog. Simply going to go to Design. We're going to go to Sizing. Just slide down a little bit. Width, and slide that up to 100%. I'm going to copy 100% there, or you can just type it in below here and max width. I'm going to paste it in. And as you can see, that's made that 100% of the screen width there. Okay, so we've done that. Let's save that. Looks like we've got a bit of space top and bottom here. So let's go into the section and remove the space. You can either drag, you can actually select and drag, or you can go in there and just go to spacing. Make sure there's no padding, so I'm just going to put 0 top, hit the cog, and it'll do the bottom. That's taken away the section padding. Looks like we've got a little bit left over on the row there, so let's just save this. Let's go into our row, which remember I said was the green one, which is now over to the left because we made it full width. Do the same thing with that. Zero, hit the little chain, it'll do the bottom. There we go. So we've got no padding there. Fantastic. So we've got a full width slider and it's all working. Great. That's the end of the video. No, I'm kidding. We're going to make it full length and we're going to decorate it and make it look really good. Okay. So let's save that and let's actually go into our slider module. So it's already populated with two slides. Let's work on the first one first. You can delete these and start from scratch if you want to by adding a new slide. I'm going to work with what we've got here. Okay, so we're on the Content tab. This is the title right there. Let's say IT Solutions. And the button, Learn More. Obviously you're going to want to put in whatever you want to put in. And now we want to style this the way we want to. I mean, that's okay, it's quite good, but let's make it our own and make it a little bit more dramatic. I'm going to use the actual text that they've got in here simply for expediency. I've got no real content to put on this site. What I will do is I'm going to split it up a little bit because it's a little too wide for me at the moment. So to do that, we can do it with padding, or the easiest way is just to split it up. And I'm going to go in there. I'm going to hit Alt Enter to split it up on new line. If you just hit Enter, it double spaces it usually with WordPress. And let's split it up again. So Shift Enter. I meant Shift Enter. I think I might have sent Alt Enter, but it's Shift Enter for a regular space. If I undo that and just hit Enter, yeah, you can see it's done a double line break there, which is not what I want. So Control Z will undo that, and Shift Enter will do a single line break. All right. So got the text saying what we want, but now let's get it all looking how we want. So let's scroll down a little bit more. Let's go to background. Let's add an image. At the moment we've got the color. I'm going to leave this color there and you'll see why in a moment. You've got color, gradient. I'm going to go over to image. I'm going to add a background image. Now I just downloaded a couple of pictures from unsplash.com, which is a great free stock photo site, and I've uploaded them to my media library. Here we are. So I'm going to grab this first one here. And there it is. And the first thing you're going to notice is, well, the picture's there and everything, but we can't really read our text and what have you. So without going out of the image, and it's important that you remember we've got a background color here. I'm going to slide down a little bit. Don't want to use parallax effect. I do want the image to cover. I want it to be centered. Don't want it to repeat. Now, background image blend. This is where it gets fun. They've got some fantastic built-in features here. The one I'm going to use on this, I think, is just multiply, where it takes that blue background colors and just multiplies it with the image, and that to me is great. That works fine. You can see everything perfectly. But do play around with these. They've really got some fantastic ones. Color burn, difference, very psychedelic, but really eye-catching. Hue, again, very psychedelic and eye-catching. And you can get some fantastic effects by using these things. But for me today, I'm just going to use that multiply because that works perfectly. Okay, let's continue. Well, this is okay. It's a bit boring looking. So let's go over to our design tab. I'm going to go down to text. And I'm going to scoot the text over to the left. Text alignment left. There we go. And let's work on this heading. Now you see when I hover over, highlight it, there's a little paintbrush icon. If you left click on that, it'll take you to that, whatever it is you hit the paintbrush on. So you can edit it in the design, which is H2. So let's see, let's make this real big. I'm going to make it ultra bold. I'm going to capitalize it. What else can we do? I might give it a bit of drop shadow. I'm going to leave it white because that stands out really well there. You could change it to whatever you want, obviously. Line height, I'm just going to push this down a little bit so there's a little bit more space between the title and the text here. So let's just roll that just up a little bit. That's way too much. Let's do it with our little arrows here. That's fine, something like that. That's absolutely fine. Keep going on down. I'll add a little bit of text shadow because that will just let it stand out just a little bit more. Decide on which one you want. I think that first one was fine for me. Now I'm not even going to adjust the shadow. You can adjust this here. Now the body text, pretty good as it is actually. I'm going to perhaps just adjust the line height on it a little bit so it spreads out. It may not work. So we've got letter spacing, body line height. Let's click that up one. No, I don't like that. I'm going to leave it as it is. Could put a bit of text shadow behind it. It might let it stand out a bit more, but this is entirely up to you. You can experiment. There's a slight benefit to that. Yeah, we'll leave that as it is. Let's keep rolling down. Let's style our button now. Here's the button. Where do we want it? The left, middle or right? Well, left is good. It's actually there already because we shot it over there with our text when we aligned everything left. Let's use custom styles for our button. And I guess because we've got a button down here, we'll do a similar style to this. I've got the color saved over here, the hex color. If you didn't, you can just, whatever that color is, I'm using Google Chrome, right click and inspect it. Most browsers have this inspector. I'm using the actual Google Chrome though. And there's the color for that thing that I just inspected. Easy way of finding it, or of course you can go into the module and look. Okay, so we're on the button. Button text size, I'm going to leave that exactly how it is. Text color, again, same. Button background, now that's where I want to put in this hex color that we've got here. Add background color. Simply paste that hex code in there. 100%. Let's get the correct thing. And paste the hex code in there. There we go, that's a bit more like it. Roll on down, and of course I want the border the same color. Button border color, same thing, just paste that in there. Now if we go up here again to the button color, we can set the hover effect color. So here's a little arrow. Just click on the little arrow. If it's not there, just hover over where it says button background, it will appear. And it gives you the regular version, which is what we got there, and a hover version. And you can change the color slightly just so it lets people know it's active. Slightly lighter color. That's great. I'm going to leave the border as it is. You can do that for the border also, but I'm just not going to. Now the border radius, we made these sort of pill shaped, round like that, rounded. So let's do the same thing. I just use 50 pixels to give it a nice curved border there. Just put in 50. It'll put in the pixels for you. And as you can see, it's rounded it off. Let's go back up and just set that back to desktop so we can see the regular button. Okay, so we've done our border. 50 pixels. Now when I roll over that, it's got that little icon. I don't want that there. You may want that there. If we roll on down a little bit, show button icon, well it says no, but it's actually doing it. So if I flip it to yes, flip it back, now it should not do it. There we go. And if you decided you did want that, let's flip it back to yes. Here's all these wonderful icons, elegant theme icons you can put in there. But like I say, I don't want an icon on my button. Okay, button text shadow. Again, I think we used a bit of this down below. Just makes it stand out slightly more on that background, which is great. Not going to mess with the shadow. Now the button margin and the button padding. Well, I'd like to push the button down slightly, just a little bit more from this text here. So let's give it a margin on the top. You have to do this with margin on the button, because I'll show you why in a minute. Say 30 pixels. Yeah, that's fine. Let's just push it down a tad. Now had I done that with padding, which you can do with most things, if I delete that and put 30 pixels in, what it's going to do, it's going to just make the button fatter at the top. Bump, which is not what I wanted. So let's get rid of that. Put that margin back in, 30. Like I say, you don't need to put pixels in. If you need to use a percent, just simply select the PX and put percentage mark in if you prefer doing it that way. I want to add a little bit of, I want to make this button wider basically, so I'm going to add a bit of padding left and right. So I'm going to say 30 pixels. Hit the chain and it'll do the opposite. There we go. Let's just make it a little bit fatter. And we'll pop a little box shadow on there. So I'm fairly happy with that so far. Anything else we need to do here? Not really. Sizing, spacing, filters, transform. What we haven't done is set the link for the button. I haven't got it anywhere to go yet, but I'd probably have this going to a page with some information about IT solutions. Link. Here's the button link. At the moment it's just got a hashtag which will take it to the top of the page. I actually want mine, you just put your URL in there to whatever page you want it to go to. and we want it to open in the same window unless you're going to an external website presumably. And you can actually make the module itself link to somewhere else, a different link if you want to, by putting a different URL there. Then when anybody clicks anywhere on this module, it'll go to this URL, but if they click on the button itself, it'll go to the button URL. I'm sure that makes sense. Okay, so let's just save that one. That's our first slide done, I believe. So the only thing I want to do is, we've got some navigation buttons here and we've got some navigation arrows there. So let's just go to our design. I'm going to make those the same color as our blue button here, and simply navigation arrow color. Let's put in that hex code. There we go, that works fine for me. And the little dot, at the moment it's white, let's make that blue, shall we? Dot now, and same thing, I'm going to paste that color in there. Boom. There we have it. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to make this full width, full screen height and full screen width. Well, we've got it full screen width, but we need to make it full screen height. So let's go to our design. Let's close up that nav. Let's go down to sizing. Let's go down to, slide down a bit to height. I'm simply going to put in here 100 VH. Now that stands for 100% of the viewable height, and as you can see, it's stretched the whole of the screen there. If I just move that off to this, it's okay. Now, because I did 100%, it's sort of calculating the whole of my screen size here, and it's a little bit too large because it goes down just below where I want it because of the menu. We've got about 100 pixels up the top or so there, and we really want it to sort of be that height, which it is. So we need to take a little bit away to account for the menu. So let's say 90%. I'm not going to go into it too much. There we go, that's almost exactly right. You can up and down it a little bit, fine tune it until you see the little blue poking through of the footer below. So let's do 88, should do it fine. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now that should work on all devices. So if we hit our little purple button here and look on an iPad, at the moment we're on a desktop. If we look on a tablet, that's going to stretch the whole width of the tablet up there too. And same with a cell phone. Okay, so let's get back out of there, go to our desktop and start working on our next slide. So back to content. Again, I'll just use the generic one that they've put in there. So let's hit the cog. And there it is, just the blue, the regular blue with all that. This time we'll have it central, and we'll use it, instead of using the image mix, let's use an overlay this time. I'll leave that color in there, it doesn't matter at all. So content, let's say networking specialists, I suppose. Button, let's say get connected, whatever you want to say. I'm not going to bother linking it, I'm just going to go through. We're just doing a slightly different thing with this. Again, this is a little too spread out for me, so let's split it up a bit, shift enter, and again same place. Obviously I'm just using the generic content here, I'm sure you'd have some actual content for yours. Fantastic. Let's keep going down, and we want the background. I'm going to go to image again, put in one of those images. Let's use this one this time. There we go. And again, it's kind of made it a little difficult to read that text in there. So we'll figure that out in a minute in the design tab. We don't want to use parallax. Everything else is absolutely fine there. So let's go to our design tab. This time we're going to use a color overlay. So let's hit overlay. Use background overlay. Choose our color. I'm going to make it black. Just by selecting black right there. And as you can see, it's completely taken the picture away. All we need to do is slide our opacity slider, which is this right hand slider, down. And you'll see that image start to bleed through. Just pull it down to where you're happy that you can read your text and your button and everything. I'm going to leave it right there. That works for me. Let's move on down. Navigation, I'm going to leave it. It's still the blue color and the blue dot. That's absolutely fine. Image, I don't want to play with that. Title text, again, I'll do exactly the same as we did before. I'll make it, I'll leave it white. I'm going to make it ultra bold and capitalized. In your face, as they say. I want to increase that line height by just a little bit. Title line height, I'm just going to pop it up. 3. How's that? Fine. And the only other thing we really need to do is the button. Oh yes, we had a bit of text shadow on there. That's not going to stand out too well against the black. I guess you can see it some there. Slide on down. Body text, not even going to mess with that. Button. Let's do exactly the same thing. Custom styles for the button. Text color is exactly the same. Button background color is our blue color. There we go. Won't mess with the hover, but you know how to change the hover state. Border color, same thing. Border radius to make it that pill shape. 50 pixels. I'll just put 50 in. It'll put the pixels in there for us. And we'll make it a little bit wider and take that icon away. I don't want that icon. Button font, that's fine. Let's flip that back. And that's icon gone. Button alignment center, it's already in the center. And we had a bit of shadow on the text there. Sliding down. And the only other thing, I want a bit of left and right padding there. 30. Boom. Just to make that button stand out a bit more. And we'll pop a little box shadow on the bottom of it. There we go, just like that. So I'm calling that one done. So we'll move on to the next one. Just click the little save right here. And I'm going to simply clone this one that we've got here. There we go. And let's go into it. And it's already got our styles from the last one. And again, I'm not changing the content. And the button, let's just say tech support. And again, I'd link that to a page that was something to do with tech support or contact us or whatever. Okay, so let's change our background image again. Get rid of this one, little trash can icon. We'll add a new one. It's this one right here. It's fine. That actually looks quite good. We've got our background overlay going on, but I wanted to do something slightly different with this one. So let's have a look. I don't think there's anything else I want to do in this particular tab. That's fine. Let's go to our design tab. Overlay. I'm going to turn that off. There we go. So that's the regular image just with our writing. And again, you can't really see that this time. Let's use a text overlay. And as you can see, it's popped a little color behind our text right there, which makes it a lot easier to read. So let's change the color to something that we want. I've been using blue for everything else, so I'm going to use it for there. You can leave it solid like that if you want to. I mean, it makes it very easy to read and it doesn't actually look too bad. So, but I'm going to pull the opacity down just a little bit. Let's do that with this little arrow right here. I want to make sure we can read that writing, but I want to see some of the image behind. So I think that's all fairly legible. Fantastic. Now, okay, the only thing we really need to do now is tell this slider that we want it to be automatic, so it slides, you know, goes from slide to slide, and also the time that it wants to take. So let's just save this slide. There we are, we're back in the main slider settings. Let's go to design, down to the bottom here, animation. Now they got animation styles here, but we don't really want any of those. That's when the actual page loads. So if I was to click on that, it would show you that's how the slide is going to load. You may want to do that, but I don't. I'm going to leave that off. But I do want it to slide automatically. So flip the automatic animation to on. We slide down a little bit. It's in milliseconds, so 7,000 is going to be 7 seconds. I'm going to set it to like 5,005 seconds, which is fine. Now, continue automatic slide on hover. If you have that checked, when they have their mouse over it, it'll just keep rolling around. I'm going to leave that off so that if somebody puts their mouse over here, it won't go to the next slide automatically, which gives them more of a chance to read what you've got going on there, and also hit the button if they want to. So I think that's just about it for our slider here. Let's save our settings. Let's publish our page. And let's exit the Visual Builder. So there's our first slide. Second slide, 5 seconds later. Third slide. Make sure it's going to work on responsive devices, and like I say, I'm using Google Chrome here. If I hit F12, it'll bring up the inspector. I'll pull this, don't need this really. All I need to do is our responsive device toggles here. If I left click on that, there it is on a phone. I think that's going to work absolutely fine. Could even take the size up a bit if you wanted to, because you can do different things on different size devices, and we'll be covering that more in more videos. Let's have a look at it on iPad. There we go. And as we set that as whatever it was, 89 VH viewable height, as you can see, it's taking up all of the screen on all of these devices, which is what we wanted to achieve. Same with the iPhone here. Fantastic. So let's get rid of that. Let's get out of the console, and we're done. So there you have it. That is how to create a full width, full height automatic slider with Divi. I hope you've enjoyed that and found it useful. If you have, please like, share, comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're interested in web development, take a look down below. We've got some great free courses down there, as well as some premium courses for our YouTube subscribers. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.